Georgia called Donald Trump illegitimate. Then he followed up by saying he won't attend the inauguration. Well, Trump responded with a series of bellicose tweets. The cable networks went wall to wall with their coverage of all this, and the rest is history, of course, and you've been watching it. This is a fight Democrats started, and they seem to enjoy it so far. Republicans seem to enjoy it, too. But what's the greater point of all of this? Will attacks like the one from Congressman Lewis help the Democrats win elections going forward? And it's not an idle question, given that in the past 8 years under Barack Obama, the Democratic Party has lost more than 1,000 office holders nationwide. Joining us now is someone who wants to lead the Democrats into the future, former Fox contributor Jehmu Greene, who is running for DNC chair. Jehmu, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Tucker.
So you were asked about this over the weekend on Fox and Friends, asked about Congressman Lewis's statement, and you described what happened in November as the alleged election. I think I'm quoting you exactly, the alleged election. By that, did you mean that it's an election that didn't actually take place, or that we should pretend didn't happen, or what did you mean? As someone who wants to lead the Democratic Party, what's your position on that?
Here's, I think, the position of not just Democrats or Republicans, just like I said that morning, Americans. Something happened in this election with Russia. Something happened that was so significant that the Democratic members of Congress that got that classified briefing stormed out of that room. And we may never know what that is if it stays classified, but we all have those questions. And to your opening, Tucker, I don't think anybody enjoys this. I don't think anybody likes this. This is an attack on our democracy. And Donald Trump had an opportunity after he was the president-elect to start to try to heal the wounds from the election. And instead, he chose to take us in a different direction and continue his type of just baseless attacks. But someone like John Lewis, who has the Navy deemed so respected and American that they named a ship after him, to see what Donald Trump is doing on Martin Luther King Day, no one is standing for it. Not Democrats, not Republicans, not anybody who cares about the future of this country. So he's the one congressman out of 435 you're not allowed to attack. But my question to you, though, my question to you is, though, if you're elected chair of the Democratic Party, I intend to be.
And you intend to be. Your line to Democrats, when you go across the country to the Jefferson-Jackson dinner or whatever, you're going to say, we would have won that election if only Vladimir Putin, in ways we can't explain or be specific about, hadn't intervened.
No.
So your understanding is Hillary lost because of Putin. I think that's what you just said.
No, that's not what I said. And so don't put words in my mouth, Tucker. There are lots of things the Democratic Party needs to address. Certainly, we have to find better ways of communicating our issues in a way that are going to inspire communities to turn out for us. We have to make sure that we are defending our policies in the same way that Donald Trump was so effective as a communicator. We have to be able to do the same thing, and we will do it, and we'll win by telling the truth, which is the opposite of what we saw from the Republican in the race in 2016. But we have a lot of work to be done. We have to bring young people in. We have to make sure that the infrastructure of the party has the resources that they need. This is not just a one-issue situation. And so I'm not going to play a game and simplify it with you, Tucker.
I don't want you to simplify it. I want you to explain it because you're running for this. So the first thing you mentioned in that long litany was we need to get the communities out. Now, one community that did not come out for you is white voters. Hillary Clinton won 37% of the white vote. That's the lowest number any Democrat running for president has received in more than 30 years. That's clearly a massive problem for her. Do you see that as a problem? And what would you do to rectify it, to get white voters to vote Democrat again?
Well, I think that there were some strategic mistakes that were made as far as where we were going to communicate, what types of messages were going to be communicated. It's a campaign. I get it. I'm not going to, say that we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need to make better decisions when it comes to how we tell the Democratic Party story, and to make sure that whether you're a white working class voter or a low-income African-American voter or middle-class working family, all of us, we are going to be harmed harmed, drastically harmed by
Right.
the policies that this administration is clearly intending to put in place. And it is about communication, because they beat us at communication. That we know.
Here's a famous and skilled communicator. Her name is Simone Sanders. She was, in fact, the spokeswoman for Bernie Sanders, kind of a big deal. And she said this, and I'm quoting, on CNN, in this November after the election, in my opinion, we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. Do you agree with that?
Look, I think that it is great to have people like Simone's passion and, certainly the young voters that were attracted to Bernie Sanders. They are a part of the Democratic Party, and we need to find ways where everybody feels welcomed. I don't
But wait a second. I'm sorry. What do you think of that? We don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. Do you think she should have said that? Do you think that's an okay thing to say, and do you agree with it?
Well, clearly I'm in the race, Tucker, so I very specifically think we need Jehmu Greene leading the Democratic Party right now.
No, don't be silly. Answer the question.
I mean,
she said we don't need white
people.
Okay, but hold on. This is not a fringe person. This is Simone Sanders, so you know. We don't need white people leading the party. Now, I don't even need to play the thought experiment what would happen if someone on the Republican side said we don't need black people leading the Republican Party. That would be bad, and I would denounce it. Will you denounce that? Is that okay that she said that? And do you agree with her?
Look, just because we have the same hairstyle doesn't mean that I agree with everything that she says. And certainly I think you should have Simone on your show. Ask her. What we need are people who understand the Democratic Party from inside out.
I'm throwing it up really slow for you to hit. I'm asking you, do you think it's...
Tucker?
No, just throw it up slow, the pitch, so you can hit it. Do you think it's okay to say we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party? And I'm expecting you're going to say that's an appalling thing to say. You can't say that about an entire racial group. Go ahead.
It's not the right message that needs to be out there right now.
But is it wrong to say that? What do you mean not the right message? Is it a good thing to say, or is that an immoral thing? I mean, can you imagine saying that yourself?
It's not what I believe. It's not what I believe. So I don't know why I'm having a conversation with you about what another African-American woman said.
Well, I explained it to you at the beginning.
We don't all think and say the same things.
Of course, I'm not suggesting that. Hillary Clinton, who's not an African-American woman, said in April during the campaign, she said, and I think I'm quoting her, we need to recognize white people, our own privilege, and practice humility. And I thought, well, that's sort of a big generalization. Do you think unemployed machinists in Ohio need to recognize their privilege, or the children of OxyContin addicts in Appalachia need to recognize their privilege? I mean, what do you think?
Tucker,
is there a reason white voters